Hello, thank you everyone for tuning in to our Lunch and Learn session with Catch. My name is Garrett Colt and I serve our organization as Director of Development. And here at Catch, education is at the forefront of everything we do. We thank you for being here today to learn and to share that learning with your friends, family, and neighbors. There are a lot of misconceptions about people experiencing homelessness, and educated messengers are essential to our efforts to end homelessness in the Treasure Valley. Today's topic is housing families, Catch's rapid rehousing program. And our speakers today are Jeremy Blades, Director of Housing Services, Baldemar Gonzalez, Landlord Relationship Specialist, and Taisha Bergman, Case Manager. This is a panel discussion, and I will ask the speakers a list of questions and then take questions from the audience. Please place your questions in the chat as you have them. Speaking of the chat, we hope that this will be more of a conversation than a lecture. Please utilize the chat to introduce yourself, where you're watching from, and to share your thoughts and questions as they occur. Lastly, share with a friend and engage in our upcoming sessions. With that, thank you all for being here and for being informed messengers. I will now welcome our speakers and we'll begin our session. So our first speaker today is Jeremy Blades. How's it going, Jeremy?
Hello, thank you for having me.
Of course. And Jeremy, I was wondering, can you tell us what Housing First is and what rapid rehousing is?
Yeah, Housing First is a trauma-informed approach to working with people that are experiencing homelessness. It takes into consideration how trauma affects people and affects their lives, and it tries to use that to empower the situation. Historically, people had to jump through a bunch of hoops. They had to try to achieve a bunch of stuff while experiencing homelessness. And what they found was the outcomes were pretty low, pretty poor. People had trouble doing things like getting IDs, getting birth certificates, setting up accounts, saving money, getting jobs, all that stuff while living out of their car. But that's just how the model was set up. They had to do all those things before they would be allowed to go into a housing program. What Housing First did is it flipped that model, and it said, why don't we get them into housing as quickly as possible, and then let's start working on all that other stuff that they might need to do to stabilize. And what they found was the outcomes dramatically increased. They got better. And so really what is taken into consideration is that homelessness is a traumatizing experience. We did our own assessments, and what we found is about 80 to 90% of our clients reported significant childhood trauma. And that was even prior to entering into homelessness. And so what we have is people with significant historical trauma who are currently being traumatized and then being asked to jump through a bunch of hoops before they can earn their right to get into housing. And that's why Housing First was created, to try to have as least barriers as possible so that we can get people out of that traumatizing situation, get them stable into housing, let some of that trauma leave their nervous system, and then start working on other stuff that is going to be important for them to stabilize. Rapid rehousing is kind of misleading, that word rapid. What it should actually be called is we are going to house you as fast as we can. Rapid kind of implies that we just have these units waiting and we can just move people in right away. Unfortunately, that's just not the case of our market and just how the process works. But we are trying to house people as quickly as possible in every situation. That's our number one goal when they first enter our program, is to house them as quickly as possible, to honor that housing first philosophy. And one thing I do want to say is that some people, when they hear housing first, they think housing only. And that is not the case. Yes, we want to get into housing first as quickly as possible with as little barriers as we can. But then after housing becomes the intensive case management. And that's a key part of the housing first philosophy, is the case management piece. Without that, it's just housing only. And that's proven to not work. And so the case management is an important piece. And then we have that as part of our rapid rehousing program.
Thank you, Jeremy,
Yeah.
for setting the stage. We're now going to welcome a case manager and our landlord relationship specialist. Hey Taisha, hey Baldemar.
Hi.
Thank you both for joining us. My first question for you both is anything to add about what Jeremy said about Housing First and the Rapid Rehousing Program?
Yeah, so I'll go first. So yeah, just to add on a little bit, it's just about giving folks basic human necessity of having somewhere safe to go at the end of the day, somewhere safe to go during, cold winters and hot summers, and somewhere where they can feel safe and secure, and shower and just do all the basic human necessities is really what we're out here doing.
And the only thing I would add really is just to emphasize again how much it really is about trauma. Asking someone to do anything when they're in such a crisis state is borderline impossible. And as a service provider, I find it very difficult to ask someone how their job search is going, when I know for a fact that they're sleeping outside or in a car. Their priority is finding a safe place for themselves and their kiddos. They're not thinking about anything else.
Great. And bringing Jeremy back on board as well. I'm curious, Jeremy, if you could start with this question. But how successful would you say the Rapid Rehousing Program is with Catch?
Well, that's a tricky question because of the COVID pandemic. But prior to the pandemic, our outcomes that we reported to the community was just under 80%. I believe it was 78% success rate after a year. We track our families at 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, and then a year after they graduate from our program. And historically, what we found is about 78% of them remained housed after that first year. Um, with the pandemic, that changed some stuff because we had people sheltered in their homes, they had their kids home for a full year. Um, Lots more issues were created with that, loss of jobs, those kind of things. Substance abuse went up, domestic violence went up. And so that changed our outcomes a little bit over this last year. But we're pretty confident that once we get through this, we'll get back to about 80% success rate.
Fantastic. And just to add for those who are listening, since Catch's founding in 2006, the organization has housed over 600 families in the Treasure Valley. And on an annual basis, we're around 75 families per year that we house through the Rapid Rehousing Program. And now I'm going to turn it over to Taisha, our case manager, to learn more about the case management process.
Yeah, well, like Jeremy said, housing first is not housing only. All of the work really begins after they're housed. And like we tell folks, it is an intensive process. There isn't really a one size fits all case management plan for anybody. So we sit down with each family, look at their specific situation, what led to their experience, what might have contributed, and how we can prevent it from happening in the future. And beyond that, what we can do to make sure that they are as stable as they possibly can be by the time the program is over. We want folks to be as successful as possible. And I love only working with people once. I see them one time and then they're good for the rest of their lives.
And Tasia, can you tell us more about the financial independence and what the case management process looks like and how you work with your clients to set goals?
Yeah, absolutely. So most of the families that I work with have some sort of financial goal. And usually that looks like planning budgets, increasing their monthly income, and savings plans. So we do all three of those with our families and make sure they have short term goals like how quickly would you be able to take over portions of your rent, and long term goals. I have plenty of clients who have a long term goal of wanting to buy their own car. So we're able to work them through that whole process, teach or reteach budgeting and financial empowerment, and just sort of, sorry, we're getting a lot of feedback.
Sorry about that. I think the audio, for whatever reason, is not the best right now.
Yeah. Is this any better?
Yes, there we go.
Okay.
Great. Thank
I
you.
think we've got two people in one room, so it's getting a little bit of feedback. But that's okay. uh,
Resiliency.
exactly. Yeah. Just some little problem solving live on air. So yeah, we work with families on their short-term goals and their long-term goals, just to walk them through what financial empowerment is and just what financial gains look like, while we work them through increasing their total monthly income. So whether that looks like getting them applied to Social Security disability if they qualify, gaining employment. I have a lot of clients that are already employed when they come into the program. So either finding a place that works with their budget or finding clever, creative ways to increase their income over the month, I would say are the biggest financial priorities.
Great. And Tasia, I'm curious, without using identifying information, would you walk the listeners through what case management support has looked like for a family that you've recently helped, and how you set those goals and how you all work together to achieve them?
Yeah, absolutely. So a large majority of the clients that I work with are fleeing domestic violence. So my biggest priority with them is ensuring their safety. A lot of them are coming from DV shelters or women's shelters in the valley. So I will work first, like Jeremy said, to get them housed as quickly as I possibly can. We'll go through a safety plan. One family in particular, that's exactly what we did. Worked through a safety plan, made sure she knew what to do when or if her abuser ever found out where she was living, got her established with a local childcare that worked with her transportation plan, and then got her employed. And very quickly after that, she was able to take over full portions of her rent. She kind of blasted through the program. She was done in a matter of 6 or 7 months, and she was paying 100% of her rent. She really just needed a couple months to get safe, get stable, and be able to provide for her kiddo.
Such a powerful story and really speaks to the power of the program and how helpful it can be for a lot of families here in the Treasure Valley. Taisha, thank you so much. We'll come back to you in a few minutes. All right. We're switching it up a little bit, and now we're going to be talking with Baldemar, our landlord relationship specialist. And Baldemar, my question for you is landlords, they're a big part of this equation. Can you tell us more about your role and what the landlord partnership agreement is?
Yes. Yeah. Thanks. I'll go into that. So first, I want to say thank you to everyone who's joining us on this live stream. It definitely means a lot for you to take some time out of your busy day to kind of hear what we have to say about homelessness in the area. And yeah, so I'm the landlord relationship specialist here at Catch. So I deal with anyone who owns a property that can provide housing for the families we work with. So anywhere from landlords with 1 or 2 units up to developers in the area that are developing big apartment complexes and everything in between there. So we provide different incentives with the landlord partnership program. A lot of landlords love it because it's almost like an insurance policy as well. We have different funds that we can use for damages and vacancies. And also we can provide higher deposits, first and last month's rent up front at signing, different things like that. So we do whatever we can to make sure the landlord is comfortable working with Catch and build confidence in the system and the processes that Catch provides to the landlords and the families as well.
Great. And Baltimore, there might be some landlords or property managers, even developers who are listening to this right now. What is one thing that you hope to share with them in terms of working with Catch?
Yeah, as everyone knows, Ada County and Kenyon County as well, the whole Treasure Valley is going through a housing crisis, and there isn't housing available for folks that are working full time and just living a normal life. But the folks that we're helping that are vulnerable and don't have anywhere to go and don't have any support systems in place, they are really, really struggling through this housing crisis. So that's why we're here helping them find housing. So if you are a property manager or a developer, smaller landlord, and have the capacity to help us, we definitely would love to talk to you and see how we can help put some roofs over these families' heads.
Fantastic. Baldemar, thank you so much. And we're going to go with all of our speakers right now. This work can be very taxing. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hard work. So I'm curious for all of you, and Jeremy, if we could start with you, why do you do what you do? And why does this work matter to you?
There's a lot of things I like about this work, but I was thinking about this question. One of the main things is how much it allows me to be a part of the community and work within the community. Tackling homelessness is not a single effort. We need our collaborative partners, and so I get to engage with a lot of different agencies around the valley. I get to engage with landlords. I get to engage with donors, people that donate their stuff so we can help our families furnish their homes. Um, I, of course, get to engage with the clients and their families. And then part of our case management plan is building this net of support system, a support group around the client that they choose. They get to choose who's in this group, but we want to have them connected with as many supports as possible by the time they graduate, and we get to be a part of that process. So it's just like a full community engagement, and I enjoy being a part of that.
And Taisha, how about you? Why do you do what you do?
Majority of why I do what I do comes back to the specific population that I work with. Again, it's mostly domestic violence victims, and it's all about safety. I have a very specific set of skills when it comes to working with this particular population, and if I can use it to make sure that people that are fleeing domestic violence and their children can have a safe place to go, I want to do that. I know that there's not a lot of capacity in the valley. We have more people experiencing homelessness than shelter space to give them. So if I can ease that need a little bit, I want to do that.
Thank you. And Baldemar, what about you?
Yeah, why do I do what I do? Great question. Really, it's about, again, keeping it simple, is putting a roof over someone's head that truly needs it. It's something that I think a lot of folks take for granted, having a home, a safe space, somewhere secure to spend the holidays with your family, spend birthdays with your family, make memories, all those special occasions that some of these folks experiencing homelessness don't have the opportunity to experience because of housing shortages or different reasons. But that's why I do it, because if I can be a part of making a positive impact in these folks' lives, and that's why I'm here. And I invite everyone in the community to join us in doing that in different ways, whether it's financially, whether it's providing housing, whether it's donating time. There's different ways to get involved, and definitely would love to see more people joining us.
Great. And Tasia gave a great example of a client story and how Catch helped them through their journey. I'm curious if anyone else has a client story that they'd like to share about how Catch has helped someone in the community and where they are today.
Right when I first started at Catch, actually, about 5 years ago, I was a single mother who had a daughter that was just about to enter into kindergarten. And when they first came to my office, the mom was very concerned about the daughter's behaviors. She said that doctors had said that she was most likely autistic or had some sort of other diagnosis that was affecting her behaviors. She was a bit violent, the little girl. She broke a bunch of stuff in my office in our first visit. Um, and then we got them housed. We got their house furnished. We did all the case management, and she was able to budget and secure an income that was able to help her stay there. She lived in that same rental for 4 years, and the daughter continued in school at the local school that was by their apartment. The last time I checked in with them, the daughter had gotten an award for being the best behaved in the class, and for her behaviors, which was like the complete opposite of what it was before. But for me, it was an example of just how much the traumatic event of homelessness affects the kiddos and the families. And a lot of times, what we're seeing is not necessarily a diagnosable thing. It's just them dealing with the trauma of homelessness, the trauma of the situation. Um, I'm happy to say that they actually moved out of that apartment and they are buying a home at this point. So they've really moved up in the world.
Thank you for sharing that, Jeremy.
Yeah.
And would anyone else like to share a client story before we move to the next question?
Yeah, I can share a quick one. One time we found a rental for this family, and one of his younger sons, we were kind of doing a tour of the property, and he came up to me and he asked me if he could have that room. And I said, yeah, you know, if that's the room you want, go ahead. And he's like, can I put my posters here? I have a lot of posters. I never had anywhere to put them. And he was telling me all the things that he was going to do to decorate his room because he finally has somewhere to sleep at night and a space that's finally his. And just moments like that make you realize that um, this really is life-changing work that we're helping these folks with.
Great. Well, thank you all for sharing. And as we mentioned, homelessness is a very complex issue and is often misunderstood. And so I'm curious to hear from you all if there's one thing that people could learn today from listening about people who are experiencing homelessness in the Treasure Valley, what would that be for you? What would you want to share with them? And Taisha, if we could start with you, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like we've really hammered it in today, but it all really does come down to trauma. And you're right, homelessness is a very complex issue. And I think people would like to think that it's really simple. It's just a matter of getting a job or just a matter of having enough, work ethic or something. But the folks that we work with are the most resilient, hardworking people I've ever met in my entire life. And there are a lot of things that contribute to someone's particular situation. Obviously, the current housing market doesn't necessarily help, but it's complicated for anybody. I mean, I have a full-time job, and even I struggle sometimes to when my lease is up to find another place to go that's within my budget, and I'm not experiencing a myriad of different traumatic things. So it's a matter of putting yourself in someone else's shoes and thinking about how truly difficult this experience must be for somebody and for the children involved as well.
Thank you. And Jeremy, how about you? What's one thing that you wish everyone in the Treasure Valley knew about people experiencing homelessness?
Um, I mean, I feel like we've hit a lot of good topics. I talked about, tackling homelessness is not a single person event. And really, we need the whole community to be involved to help. There's just no escaping it. You can't be a part of the community and have homelessness not affect you in some way or another. It's just the reality of the situation. These are our neighbors. These are our families amongst us. These are our children's classmates. Um, and we all get affected by it in one way. So the more people can get involved, I think is what I would like people to know is there's always something that somebody could help with. We had a great response to our warming shelter and people bringing in coats and gloves and warm stuff. That was amazing to see the community do that, and the warm heart that people had when they shared their stuff. Um, Hearing them tell stories about their clothes and what they did with those clothes when they were younger, but now they're passing them on to somebody else that needs them. For me, that was like truly community action of handing to the next person, paying it forward, if you will. And I hope everyone gets involved like that.
Great. And Baldemar, how about you? What's one thing that you wish everyone in the Treasure Valley knew about folks who are experiencing homelessness?
Yeah, there's a lot of stigma around the work that we do, and one thing that comes to mind is the number one reason families are experiencing homelessness in Ada County and Treasure Valley is domestic violence, fleeing abusers, and different things like that. But that just is very eye-opening because of the stigma attached around homelessness. And when I tell folks that that's the number one reason in Ada County, it's something that needs to be shared with the community so they understand. Again, like you were saying, sharing the education with your peers so everyone understands what's actually happening so we can truly solve this issue.
Fantastic. And that brings us to our final question, which is now that people are excited and want to get involved with Catch or want to get involved with this issue, what are ways that folks can help out? And anyone feel free to start.
I would say that it's
Oh, no,
there we go. I'm trying to figure out who that's coming from. We're all in a very small office space. I would say that there are so many different things that somebody can do. I think when someone is asked like how can I help, they think that they just need to donate a bunch of money and that's it. But it really comes down to anything. Anything helps at all. If you see something and you have an idea that might help, tell us. We would love to help make that happen. We'd love to help you coordinate that and give you some manpower if we need to, or just kind of point you in the right direction. Even something as small as like a $10 gas card can make a huge difference in the family's life. And I need to emphasize too that it doesn't have to be a huge donation for it to have a huge impact.
And Baldemar, what about you? What are your thoughts about how folks can help?
Yeah, just to add on to what Taisha said a little bit, whether you're helping financially, with financial donations, whether you're donating goods, whether you're donating some time or volunteering, all of those things help. But one thing I think a lot of folks don't think about sometimes is it helps a lot when you just tell your friends and family about what we're doing and share the message that we're trying to share with the community, because it goes a long way. Word of mouth is definitely powerful. And the more people that know about us, the more people that can help. So yeah, just as simple as watching this video, going home tonight to your friends and family and saying, hey, I learned this today about Catch, or hey, Catch is doing this. And then having them join as well definitely makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. As we often say, it'll take a community to change a community. And we have to build a coalition of supporters to continue this great work, and to truly end family homelessness here in the Treasure Valley. One of our greatest barriers right now is inventory, so affordable housing. And so I would encourage everyone, if you know someone who owns property, who manages property, or creates housing, to please connect with Catch if you're not already connected with us. And Baldemar would be your point of contact for that. We have families that are ready to move in. We just don't have places for them to move into. And so that's a great immediate need. And we also need some winter items as well. And as you'll see, scrolling on the bottom of your screen right now, we're in the middle of our Avenues for Hope campaign. So be sure to check that out. We are raising enough funds to house 25 additional families in our program. And so we're almost halfway there, and could use your help in making that happen. But all of you, thank you so much for what you do day in and day out for our community and for our families, and for sharing your wisdom with us here today. I'm really grateful for your time.
Thank you so much, Garrett.
Thanks, Garrett.
All right, everyone. So we just listened to Jeremy Blades. He's the Director of Housing Services. To Taisha Bergman. She is a case manager with Catch. And Baldemar Gonzalez, our Housing Relationship Specialist. And once again, I want to thank you all for joining us today. As I mentioned up top, there are a lot of misconceptions about people experiencing homelessness, and educated messengers are essential to our efforts to end homelessness here in the Treasure Valley. So take care and check out our campaign, avenuesforhope.org, or by going to our catchidaho.org website. Please also follow us on social media. And as our team mentioned today, getting the word out with your friends and family is extremely helpful. So like, share, subscribe, and spread the word about Catch and the issue of homelessness here in the Treasure Valley. Thank you all so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.